Maybe to start with the playoff series, obviously it only went 5 games, but what do you think your team learned during these 5 games?
Well, I hope a lot. I think when you look at the series and you go through the 5 games that we played in, first 2 games, I thought our team was learned a lot through the process of what it takes to be a physical team, and they came at us pretty hard, and I didn't think we responded very well in the first 2 games and throughout a lot of our lineup. Game 3, I thought we got back playing more the way I like to see us play, and competing and battling harder. Unfortunately, there were some circumstances that were out of our control in Game 3 that probably hurt us at the end of the night, and then Game 4, we certainly were where we need to be in Game 4. I thought we very well could have won Game 3 too, and I thought we were probably the better team that night. And in Game 4, we did a lot of good things and we won, and then we went back to Lethbridge, and for 2 periods we were right there, and had a goal lead going to the third, and we didn't play very well in the third, and it hurt us. And again, when you reflect back this series, when you give up 6, 8, 5 goals against in the first 3 games, well, you normally aren't going to win many playoff games doing that, and well, you're not. And when you get into Game 4, we give up 2 goals against and win, and when you get into Game 5 and you score 4 goals, it's got to win you the hockey game. So, we weren't a good team for the first half of the year as far as the way we defended. We averaged our goals against up till January 23rd was 3.8 goals against. From January 23rd up to the final weekend of the season, before we played Kootenay, our average goals against was 2.8. It's a big swing and a 1-goal difference, and allowed us to win a lot more games. You gotta defend the right way. You gotta play the game the right way, and that's just not how you defend in your own zone and in neutral zone and stuff. But it's how your puck management. It's how you forecheck. It's spending time in the offensive zone with the puck. Spend less time in your own zone. And for the first half of the season, we're doing exit meetings here, talking to players we weren't a very competitive team, and it was something that I wasn't very happy with. And I thought we had young guys that came back last year after being in the league for a year, come back and maybe put too much pressure on themselves. Some of them got some complacency. Thought maybe it was going to be easier than it was. We were kind of all over the map, and I thought our team started taking some changes in the right direction when we started bringing in some of the young kids, and then we let the young kids that were here with us, their roles grow and get bigger, and it pushed the older guys we did keep here to be better players, and they were in the last part of the season. So, I'm just hoping coming back next year that we've learned from this season. I hope the players have learned that there's a certain way you got to play, and there's nothing easy about it. You got to compete, you got to play hard, you got to battle. The game has changed a lot in 25, 30 years, whatever, and just things inside the game, but there's some things that never will change, and never will, and never have, and never will in the future. And you got to be a competitive team. You got to compete. You got to play hard. You got to sacrifice. There's still team game in place. There still has to be structure in your game. All those things were in place back in the 70s and 80s and well before that. And they're going to be in place in the 220s and 230s, 240s, 250s. But the game is fast. You got to do it quickly. Things got to move quicker. I liked our team speed the last half of the year. I thought we became a much quicker team. but we still got to work on those other aspects. And we're a younger team. We're going to be a younger team next year again, but these young guys that had bigger roles this year, they got to continue to improve and get better within those roles. And those young guys that didn't have as big a roles, that just came into the team, they got to grow within their role too and get better at what they do. And we'll see who pushes who and who can handle it when we get into the regular season next year. You know, we got some really good young players. There's certainly a lot of encouraging signs with this team moving forward, but we gotta make sure these young kids understand the commitment that has to be made and the level of compete you have to play at this level to be successful, both as individuals and as a team. And that is always the trying part, right? Because these kids are coming from where they're catalysts or star players on their midget teams or wherever they played, and then they get to this level, and it's a huge step up. And it's how they manage that, and then it becomes a huge learning curve, and it's how they want to handle that. Or do they become kids that want to be developed now? You know, through minor hockey, you develop, but you kind of develop at the rate of your age, right? And you know, you're 10, you get better when you're 11, you get better when you're 12, but when you get to this level, there's so much more to the game that you have to learn, and there's so much more details in the development side of it as far as how you play the game, and that's where your maturity starts growing as a player as far as physically. And you know, you got to be a stronger player to play at this level, and you got to be quick, and you got to be smart, and I think this team has quite a bit of that. But you know, actions are always how you see the outcome of things. So we certainly have a really good group of players, young group of players that we're really excited about, but it's still going to be how they develop and how they grow as players, and how they understand what you need to do at this level to be successful. And it's been an everyday thing, and that's the thing about today's game, because the game is so much quicker now, and so much things are happening, so much the pace of it all and stuff. It's different than it was back 15 and 20 years ago dealing with younger players in that sense, because they have to react quicker to things. They got to be, there's got to be, there's nothing slow in the game now. You play slow, the end of the night, you get the result you get. You play fast, you play quick, you play hard, you compete. You know, it's important. And the other thing is, probably the biggest thing is your team is certainly going to revolve around your goaltending. You know, goaltending is a big part of it, and you got to have good goaltending. You got to be a team that's, you know, it's you know, every night that you're going to get that, because goaltending is the biggest thing, and that's why it's the most important position on a hockey team, because it's your confidence booster in your side of your group. You can have the most talented forwards, you can have good defensemen, but if you're not getting the saves, you're giving up easy goals and nights and games, the confidence of the group really diminishes. Sure, I was proud in a lot of ways of this group. You know, who'd ever thought we'd get to playoffs in January? Everyone thought we were crazy. You know, there was no chance. If I would have told someone in January and we're 12, 13 points out that we're gonna get into third spot in our division, we're gonna be in playoffs, you guys would have all thought I was absolutely out of my mind. And yet, you know, I kept telling the kids, you know, you put a couple or 3, 4 games in a row together and win some games in a row and get on some kind of a roll. The other team starts losing 2 or 3. All of a sudden, now instead of being 12 or 13 points, now it's 6 or 7. You know, you pick away at it, and next thing you know, you're going to be 2, and then you're going to be tied, and then you're going to move ahead if you stay doing things right. And we did, you know, and we got to that spot. And I guess for me, kind of the turning point of all this, though, was we had a chance still to get home ice advantage in Game 71. And we didn't play well at home. We had some guys not play at the level we needed them to play. And I'm talking about our top players. And we lost that game. And our team didn't recover from that point on. And that's how fragile, and that's how, I don't even know what the word would be, that, you know, your season can sway from one point to the other. Like, you look back to game, you know, January 23rd, it was a step of changing our whole season to get on a roll. One game. You know, we won that game. We hadn't won in a while, and we had some overtime losses, and our confidence was down, and all of a sudden we won that game. And it changed the next 2 months. You know, and that's how one game can change. That's why you got to stay guarded all the time. And as a coach, you're always guarded for that, but it's trying to make sure the players are that way too. And that's not an easy thing to do, because you're dealing with young guys. Like, you're dealing with young men still that are 16 and 20 years of age and still learning so many things. It's just not about hockey, about life skills, and you're dealing with that all the time. And but I thought the team took some huge steps and really grew in the last half of the year, and hopefully playoffs we learned some things through it, and it'll make us better next fall.